All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're digging into Meta's brand new AI, LLaMA-4. And honestly, it's a huge leap forward, a real breakthrough. But as we're about to see, all that incredible power comes with some pretty heavy burdens.
So think about this for a second. This question, it's not science fiction anymore. It's really the core idea behind the biggest jump LLaMA-4 has made. It's called native multimodality, which is just a fancy way of saying it can process and understand things like text and pictures all at once seamlessly.
So first up, let's just talk about the raw power here. I mean, the numbers alone tell a pretty wild story and really show you why Llama 4 is such a game changer.
30 trillion. Just let that number sink in. That is the insane number of tokens. Tiny pieces of text, images, even video that Llama 4 was trained on. To give you some perspective, that's more than double what its predecessor had. It's like an unimaginable library of human knowledge.
And get this, if that wasn't already blowing your mind, it has a context window of 10 million tokens. So what does that actually mean? Well, it means it can process the equivalent of the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy in one go, in a single request. That unlocks a level of understanding and reasoning that we've never seen before.
So how on earth does it do all this with such incredible speed? Well, the secret sauce is this thing called a mixture of experts architecture. The easiest way to think about it is like having a team of specialists. Instead of making every single expert work on every single problem, the system is smart. It routes your question to only the expert who knows about that topic, which saves a ton of time and energy.
And look, it's not just one magic trick. It's a whole cocktail of these cutting-edge ideas all working together. You've got that native multimodality we just talked about, a way better visual encoder for understanding images, and new training methods that made it 10 times more efficient. The whole shebang comes together to let it understand really complex stuff, like entire video sequences, with no problem.
So what does all that tech actually get you? Well, you can see it right here. When you put LLaMA-4 up against the last version, you're seeing a huge 5.5% jump in accuracy. But notice that last line. There's a little trade-off. That slight increase in hallucinations, when the AI just makes stuff up, is kind of part of the deal. When a model gets this big and complex, it gets more creative, which sometimes means it can be more confidently wrong too.
So the bottom line from all these specs is pretty simple. When it comes to raw power and what it can do, Llama 4 isn't just a little improvement, it's the new leader of the pack. It's setting the bar for the entire industry now.
But, and this is a huge but, this is where the story gets really complicated. Because with this kind of power, you get a ton of responsibility. And LLaMA-4 has definitely sparked some controversy, forcing some really tough conversations about the ethical tightrope we're all walking now.
This is the other side of the coin, right? That same gigantic ocean of data that makes the model so smart is also filled with risks. I mean, the model learns from the world as it is, and that includes all of our biases, our flaws, and our ability to spread nonsense. And these are not just theories. These are documented problems. The data it trains on can be skewed, which can give it a pretty warped view of the world. It's been shown to have biases, and its power could easily be used to create super convincing disinformation. This raises some serious red flags for using it in things like customer service, let alone anything more sensitive.
So the big question is, how is Meta trying to deal with this tension between pushing forward and being safe? Well, they've laid out a pretty structured plan to try and get ahead of these issues.
What they're doing is basically building a defense system right into the model's DNA at multiple levels. They're tweaking the data it learns from, they're hiding certain info so it doesn't make bad connections, and they're actually penalizing the model during training if it spits out something biased. It's a real attempt to build fairness in from the ground up. But it's not all about code. You have to have human oversight. So Meta has put together an AI Governance Council. This is a group of people whose entire job is to set the rules of the road for how this stuff gets used, making sure it follows ethical standards and protects people's privacy. You need that human check on the system. And a huge piece of their strategy seems to be just being open about it all. By being transparent about what the model can and can't do, and by working with researchers out in the community, the idea is to build trust and make these systems better together over time.
Okay, so we've seen the mind-blowing power, and we've seen the very serious ethical questions. What does it all mean? Where does a leap like LLaMA-4 actually leave us as we look to the future?
It really all boils down to this duality. LLaMA-4 perfectly captures the central conflict in AI right now. On one hand, it's an incredible breakthrough. It's pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible. But on the other hand, it's a huge burden. It forces us to confront all these massive ethical challenges. And you can't have one without the other. They're two sides of the very same coin.
And that really is the heart of it, isn't it? As these amazing tools get more and more powerful, the conversation about how to use them safely and responsibly becomes the most important conversation of all. LLaMA 4 has shown us what AI can do. Now it's up to us to figure out what it should do.